I had to go pick up the fiance from work since we're down to two cars. Uh, Something I do not enjoy, but such is life. So, one of the things that popped up to me in the last class that I taught, the student was asking about decision making, how to determine what is the correct decision. And to me, it really depends on the context of everything, right? It's vague as a question. It's basic. It's so broad that it doesn't really pertain to anything yet. But think of things in your life that are really important. Get a new job, date this person, marry this person, divorce this person, move to a different city. Those are pretty big questions. When you get down to some smaller questions, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? It's probably not as big of a question unless it's the type of question where it's like, no, I'm going to choose to go have alcohol for dinner, and then you get super drunk, you drive away, and you end up in a car wreck, and then have to amputate your leg or something like that, right? So it's like a small decision that has a big effect. Those are pretty rare. So the advice that I gave the student was the advice I would take for myself, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward, but it's somewhat hard to put into practice because it's real life, where it has complexity, where you or I or anybody that's going through this process of deciding has the sensation of loss, regret, fear of missing out, excitement, joy, hope, pessimism. All of those things are essentially concurrent in a person to varying degrees. So, in other words, a simple thing can still be hard because of all the different emotions and feelings and thoughts behind it. But as far as metaphysics goes, the best and most important decision to make is to take God with you, first and foremost. So, whatever decision you take God with you. If you can take God with you, then metaphysically you have a sound foundation, what we would call proper perspective. Because if you have the proper perspective to say, regardless of what I take, I'm still taking God with me, then you're not going to end up in a situation where it's dark and isolated. And even if it doesn't give you the right results, you're still going to have this feeling of satisfaction and closeness and security because you're choosing to go with God. So welcome to all the people that are tuning in. My name's Rory. I talk about metaphysics, and I'm going to pick up my fiance out in a class that I taught last night. And it was essentially that you, I, anybody, we have to make choices. And if you're a spiritually inclined person, the choice is less important, like what decision you make is less important physically than the most important thing. And that most important thing is choosing God. So if you're choosing a new career or deciding to start dating someone or stop dating someone, marry someone, divorce someone, move across the country, when you're making a choice like that, take God with you. And that is your first choice. So if you can take that first, then you have an aspect of clarity and depth that is going to last longer than the original choice, because every choice, everything that happens in the physical, essentially changes eventually, sometimes really quickly, lasts for an evening, sometimes for a lifetime, but that's still a short time when you look at all of eternity. So that was the main thing that I tried to encourage the student to think about, and it's something that I still encourage myself to think about. And that is that no matter what choice I'm taking or choosing, I need to take God with me. And I know that God's with me when I feel loved, when I feel like there is this light surrounding me, enveloping me, keeping me safe and secure. And when I feel weak or when I feel like I don't matter, that's when I know that I'm not choosing God. So that's kind of my metaphysical philosophy and how I teach, is that God is going to be the solution to all of your problems. It's just a function of how connected can you be to that field, to that force, to that power that is God? And that's my metaphysical advice or insight for today. So if you have a question or a comment, feel free to drop it down below. But right now I'm just rambling on my way to pick up the fiance. And so I was like, I could listen to music, or I could share this just to see if anybody else needs to hear it. So if you are hearing it, maybe you need to know that your first choice should be God. All the other choices in your life, they matter. They really do. But choosing God, choosing that spiritual energy to be with you, is something that could theoretically solve the issues or the problems in your life. Because all it does is it changes the perspective. Changes the perspective where it's like, well, if I have love, if I have God right here, right now, then these other choices don't matter as much. But I'm still going to, decide which one I want to embark upon. And so my choice today was to go pick up the fiance. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. And I say hi to you, Thomas. Thanks for tuning in. At this point, you can ask me any questions about metaphysics, any questions about your life, and I'll give you my opinion. My opinion is just an opinion. It's not something that, necessarily you should take. But if you like the advice, then maybe experiment with it. All right, no questions or comments, and that's fair. But I hope you all have a wonderful night, and God bless.